Alright everyone, it's time for your Daily Cringe. We'll be reading a bit of this verbatim as well, actually. Legacy Media Trump Derangement Syndrome, writ large here from Isaac Schorr, actually, contributing to the Telegraph, which, if I remember correctly, is not even a US publication. Aren't they British? I'm pretty sure that they are. Let's read a little bit of this. America is bored of Trump. He won't win the election. I happen to disagree with that basic summation, but I suppose we'll see. Donald Trump won the 2016 election because he was seen as a plucky, unconventional underdog running against not just the face of the establishment, but arguably its most reviled representative. I would say that that holds true for the current election as well, but he claims otherwise. 4 years later as an incumbent, Trump lost, in spite of his mostly impressive record in office. Well, at least you're willing to admit that he had successes, so less TDS than a Salon article. Some might chalk his defeat up to the pandemic, but that's an oversimplification. Joe Biden is president not just because the economy and American life itself was rocked by COVID, but because of the trials of the plague year accentuated his opponent's countless personal flaws, like literally doing everything that he possibly could to calm the situation down. Trump is yet again challenging an unpopular status quo. Biden's putrid performance in office, as well as his advanced age and declining abilities, have rendered him a rare incumbent underdog. But then the article goes on to say, well, people are bored of Trump. It's really more like 2020 Trump than 2016 Trump. Yeah, that mugshot, certainly, it doesn't exist and didn't become an instant overnight viral meme. It didn't spread out across the internet like the tentacles of a goddamn squid or anything like that. I would just like to point this out. I believe that Donald Trump is likely to win re-election. I realize that some people are black-pilled and they think, well, we're just going to get honked again and so forth. The ground game is better than it was in 2016 or 2020. The polling is better than it was in 2016 or 2020. Trump was rarely ahead of Hillary Clinton, never really led by much in the swing states. This time around, in like 3/4 of polls, he's at least a point or two ahead. And that's with a differential that probably favors him in the end, by the way. People are actually less demoralized. There's a small group of people who are black-pilled and who say, like, Trump can't win and stuff like that and try to, darken the skies for other people. But I actually see as much enthusiasm as I did in 2016. Maybe less on the Pepe side, like the mimetic meme side, but definitely on the street, so to speak. I mean, like, Pressler has really amped up his game, etc., etc. We've got no reason to believe that Trump is actually an underdog. And the idea that people are bored of him, no, I think they're bored of Joe Biden. I think that a lot of people did, and honking aside in the 2020 election, there were people that genuinely supported Biden. They didn't like mean tweet. They didn't like, upending of society with lockdowns, even though that wasn't Trump's fault, etc., etc. They voted for Biden because of the adults are back in charge sort of thing, right? Well, what's happened since then? Wars, and a major border crisis, and Bidenflation, and a White House that's run by people who are rarely capable of stringing together a sentence without making some hideous error. Yeah, no, people are bored of that, and angry at it too in some cases. If I have to take out a second job in order to buy pickles, which I'm thinking of, I'm like, hey, I'm a content creator and an editor and an author, but maybe I need to add something else to my talent stack, Scott Adams style, because those pickles are getting expensive. Suppose I have to up my gardening game. Thankfully, all the pickles have germinated successfully. Second batch, the first one was experimental. Some of the plants did so well that I decided to preserve them. Others I decided to replant with the standard starting mix. I want to see the differential on their growth, so to speak. It's a bit of an experiment, and I'll be carrying out more botanical experiments over the course of the year. I happen to like gardening. I happen to like plant biology. This is my forte. I've got a green thumb. Plants just around me, they can't die, basically. Unless there's a couple of species that I've had problems with, but most of them are pretty cool. Been starting since middle school. But this is severe TDS. The idea that the public is bored with Donald Trump. Big Don has lost his touch. He's not the same energetic, plucky young man he was when he was already like 72 in the 2016 election, or 69 or whatever the hell he was. That's total bullshit. No, it's Joe Biden that's boring. Listening to him speak is like, when you went to class in high school. There was always that one teacher who would rant endlessly, but they had a monotone, and they never said anything interesting. Probably math class. I had one math teacher that conforms to this basic premise. He was from Maine, so he had that accent, unfortunately. Kind of difficult to listen to him. Yeah, a decent teacher, though. I won't give him too much flack, and I won't name him because I don't want to insult anyone. But anyway, you always had that one teacher, right? Joe Biden's basically that teacher. Kamala's not. Kamala says zany shit. At the very least, she's not coherent, but, there's a little bit of energy there. With Joe Biden, it's like he shuffles up to the stage, mumble, orange man bad, and then he poops his pants and walks off of stage, and CNN says, what a great delivery, what a wonderful performance from such a mature individual. That's basically what we've got in the presidency right now. If I was going to be bored with a politician, it would be Joe Biden. But really, it's not about being boring or the energy or the cant or anything else. It's about public policy, what actually affects you in your day-to-day life, and this is Trump's advantage. During Trump's presidency, up until the end, everything was going fine. We didn't have any new wars. We had a de-escalation of several existing conflicts. We didn't have rampant inflation. We still had a border crisis, but there was an attempt to address it. It was stonewalled mainly by the House Republicans, oddly, more than anyone else, because the Democrats didn't have the votes. That's what happened. We had calm. For the average person, their day-to-day life, can I please ask, is there anyone who is legit going to argue that their life is better off, unless they had some major advancement, upward mobility moment? Is your life really better off than it was under Donald Trump? Because mine isn't. I make more money than I did before, but Bidenflation gobbled up the difference. So it's basically, I'm flat in the water. Again, spending $8 for a jar of basic bitch pickles ain't normal, so I'm going to have to make my own pickles. It's going to take a little bit of time. I'm thinking, hey, maybe I should have like start a business front or something like that. Maybe I should be the one selling soaps and hot sauces and shit like that, because it's probably the only way to continue to make ends meet at some point. At some point, even people making six figures will be reckoned poor. That's just the economy. That's just the tip of the iceberg issue, too. It just happens to affect people day to day more often, and so they pay more attention to it. People aren't bored of Donald Trump. Hell, I'm not bored of him. I do wish for more mean tweets. Yeah, I wish that he would return to insulting people on Twitter. That would be wonderful. Other than that, he's doing just fine. I'm actually listening to his positions on the issues and judging him based on what he did during his presidency, and I do the same for Joe Biden. Maybe that makes me a high-info voter, and maybe I don't speak for the majority of people. But I can't imagine that someone's going to say, well, Trump doesn't have the same energy he did before, so I can't vote for him. Look at who his opponent is, idiot. Yeah. If you're talking about energy, there's a conspicuous difference there now, isn't there? That's about all. Peace out.